Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Chris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 140, featuring Kirra Sherman. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Chris Murray here, and I am here in my home. This is my remodeled living room, dining, kitchen space, and it's not fully furnished yet. I do have a undecorated Christmas tree in the corner, and I am loving this new space. And I'm loving life right now, and I hope you are too. I am coming to you in mid-December, and we are getting ready for all the things holiday. But before we do that, we're going to dive into ourselves and into what I have been calling a spiritual journey, but that's probably not the best phrasing for it, I will say, and we talk about that here on the podcast today. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and mentor, my intuitive coach, Kirra Sherman, and she has helped me in so many ways. It's been a life-changing year, as you've heard me talk about, most likely. And I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating just being in a place of self-love, having worked through and let go of a lot of stuff, and just feeling really content and at peace with myself and my life. And I hope the same for you so much. And so I wanted to bring you today Ms. Kirra Sherman to give you a taste of what life is like working with her. And the theme of today's talk is becoming comfortable with your discomfort and all the things that will pull us in different ways emotionally on this journey of being human, whether it's something tiny like being cut off in traffic or something massively huge like losing a loved one or finding out that you have a terminal illness. And so you all are facing, and myself, are facing things every single day that may be positive, they may be joyful and blissful, they may be negative and heartbreaking, or anything in between. And so when you find yourself in a place of emotion, a place of being triggered, or a place of discomfort, or all the above, this episode should help you and give you some comfort just by listening to Kirra and myself talk about our processes, working through our emotions, and diving into our inner knowing and the stillness and the being that is the most important part of being a human being, the being. So with that, I will warn you that this is an adult content episode. We do have some adult language in this episode, and so you will not want to be listening to this episode with the little ones. And some very vulnerable things are shared on this episode as well. So this is an adult content, not for the littles, and so you can put on your headphones or just consume it in the car or wherever you have time when kids are not present. And with that, we'll dive in. I also just wanted to invite you to your own best journey, your own life of abundance and getting out of your own way in your business. And what we do in the Childcare Success Academy in coaching you is exactly that. And so many of you were with me and us in Nashville at Childcare Success Summit, or you have worked with me in the past. You may have been an Academy member in the past, or you may have attended various summits or worked on an enrollment boot camp with me, or done our leadership mastery course, or bought my books, and have still been sitting on the sidelines thinking about working with me and with the coaches here in the Childcare Success Academy. And we do have still around that same level of 300 clients, 300 ECE companies in coaching, from one small location to 15 larger locations in multiple states. So that's what our membership represents. And we would love to have you join us. And so I will just invite you to go and get a strategy session. They're complimentary with Coach Ben or Success Advisor Katie or one of our other coaches who are standing by to talk to you and welcome you in and just tell you more about the Child Care Success Academy, talk to you about your pain points and challenges in your business. It's a very easy and fun and potentially life-changing 30 to 45-minute conversation. It could be a conversation that changes your life. And so I'll just invite you to go to childcaresuccess.com. And right at the top of the page, you'll see me, a photo of me on stage at the summit. And it says, click for your complimentary strategy call. And just do that. And you'll be off to the races, as they say. And I can't wait to join you. I can't wait to welcome you in and join you. Our first live mastermind meeting is in Clearwater Beach, Florida, at the end of January. And it's a beautiful new hotel, the Wyndham Grand. It's gorgeous, right on the beach. And we can't wait to have a mastermind meeting there we'll probably have between 350 or 400 people. And we can't wait, hopefully, to see you there. So if you haven't joined us yet, we hope that you will. childcaresuccess.com. All right, without any further ado, let's dive in. We're going to talk about decisions, love, judgment, following your feeling, putting power in things, fixing, improving, or changing versus the real work, which is getting comfortable with your discomfort and peeling back the layers of all of your emotional history and the things that you have been carrying around potentially for many, many years. And so when you heal those things and you heal your pain body, you become a different person. And so I want that for you. So let's dive in and learn more about it with one of my mentors, the amazing Kirra Sherman, here on Child Care Rockstar Radio. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. I am very excited today to introduce you to my friend, Kirra Sherman, and a mentor that I've been working with for the last year. Kirra, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Chris.
Good. I'm so glad to have you here.
Me too.
Yeah. So I am not podcasting from my typical location, as y'all will notice if you're watching on the YouTube. I am at home in front of a cozy fire. We just had about 3 inches of snow here in the Roaring Fork Valley, and getting in the holiday spirit over here. So where are you right now, Kirra?
I am in Austin, Texas.
Okay. Well, it's not snowing where you are.
Nope. Unfortunately, it is not. I am missing Colorado big time. I bought an après ski sweater last night.
Nice.
Just to get into the Christmas spirit.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I wish I was in Aspen, but fine. It's fine.
Fine. Kirra and I got to ski together. We had the first time that I met you in person was February 23rd. I can still remember the day that we skied together, and we had a powder day. So that was pretty special.
Good. Yeah, that's right.
Good times.
Actually, that was one of the best ski days I think I've ever had.
Yeah, agree.
It was awesome.
It was epic. Yeah.
It really was ridiculous.
It was great. And we skied Aspen Mountain, otherwise known as Ajax. So that was really, really fun. So today I'm going to have you share with us the components of some of the things that you teach and or that you guide people on. I've been calling this kind of this year of my spiritual journey. And I talked on the last podcast episode about my week retreat in Maui with Eckhart Tolle and friends. And just, prior to going and signing up for Maui, I've been working with you for a year now. And so many things that I've worked on and had insights and ahas and just life-changing ways of being and ways of thinking and just new awareness and new levels of growth in the spiritual realm. And so I wanted to share today on the podcast some of your work and things that you do in your work. So tell us a little bit about some of the key highlights of your journey, kind of like, how in the heck did you get here?
Yeah, sure. So, and I like to keep it simple, right? Like, we don't have to call it spiritual. For anybody listening to this, like, like we could call it okayness,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I got to a point in my own life where I was very anti-spiritual, actually. Like I was
Mhm.
anti-religion, I was anti-spiritual because of maybe some of things that I'd found in my religion that I was like, this is all bullshit and I'm just going to make a lot of money and live my life. And but I wasn't happy, right? Like I also got to this point where I was like, well, none of this, like I got to a point where I made enough money to where I was like, well, I can see my parents, they have even more of it. And I could see other people who have way more than I do. And like nobody really is happy. I kind of looked out on the planet and I was like, is it just me or is nobody really fulfilled, you know?
Mhm.
And that was a little disappointing. I was like, this can't be it. There's got to be something that's better than whatever I'm experiencing, whatever I see other people experiencing. And so that kind of took me to a level of openness where I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what the right answers are. Maybe I don't know what the truth is. Maybe religion does have it right. I didn't care. It was like that old Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? Where
Yeah.
little puppy goes around and like says to the chicken, Are you my mother? That was me with like reading books. I
Uh-huh.
was like one plane ride away from like hopping off to find my guru in India because I was like, none of this is working. But I accumulated all these little pieces of wisdom,
Mhm.
and I found two main things. I found Eckhart, which changed my life because what he teaches is really letting go of your future projections and letting go of your past projections.
Yep.
Because even the past is a projection when you think about it. The only thing we can really prove is that I'm here right now and this is my mug, and everything that I think about is really just a projection of how I perceive it to be. And there's so many labels that I can add on to, well, that was a really great moment in time, but it doesn't exist anymore. And so
Mhm.
if I'm not enjoying this moment, this conversation, and giving you my full attention, well, I'm not really experiencing the fullness that this moment has. So that really set me free to understanding that so much of the things that I worry about takes me away from just enjoying what is.
Yes.
And I stopped worrying. I was
Mhm.
like, I'm not playing that game anymore,
Right.
And that was a huge piece of freedom. And then the second thing that I adopted along the way was from another mentor. His name is Amir Zogi. I recommend him highly. He has an app if anybody's interested. And he talks about intuition, and he talks about who you really are, beyond what you think, right? And so following your feeling and being free to follow your feeling is the second thing that I really started to integrate on my journey. Was like I could see how I was influenced by my projections, my ideas of, well, I really would love to do this thing, but what if I fail?
Mhm.
So now I'm not going to do that thing, but I
Right.
really love to do that thing. Or I want to open my heart and tell somebody I love them. But if I'm rejected, that's going to hurt.
Mhm.
And so, a lot of my work, I joke, is kind of, not fun because it's hard, and it's being okay is actually, and partly what I tell people, I'm like, when you first work with me, some of your life will probably fall apart.
Yeah. Well, okay, having lived it right here. Well, because to your what you said about, well, I love this person, but I don't want to get hurt, or just the things that stop you from doing the thing that you know you should do. I knew that I was in the wrong relationship, but I didn't want to follow my feeling. I was resisting with 110% of me because I didn't want to hurt people.
Yeah.
So back to your point, which is yes, once you come on this journey and you actually dive into the things that you know that you love and that you should be doing, or just the word should, I don't like, but when you just get into that place, yeah. Working
Well,
with Kirra, caution everybody, because it can totally like,
but on the
I'm,
flip side,
I'm kidding, but yeah.
On the flip side, and I won't mention names, but somebody who you referred to me,
Mm-hmm.
her marriage has strengthened.
Yes.
They're thriving.
Yes. Exactly
When
opposite. Yes.
when they were in a place where she even thought, I don't know if this is going to continue. Like he might be going by the wayside. And now
Yeah.
they're thriving. So
Yes.
you don't, but you're thriving, she's thriving, he's thriving, and
Yeah.
you never know where the chips may go. But the point is you start to thrive,
Right.
start to live whatever it is that you really in your heart love to live, whether that's
Yes.
keeping the relationship or letting it go,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's the thing about, the journey that I teach. But so when I joke a little bit that your life falls apart, because you start to realize that the things that you worry about, or the things that in your mind are so important, become less important, because what really becomes important are the things that truly matter. It's almost like going through a life, like a near-death experience. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, welcome to your life. How do you want to live it? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to be free? Do you want to do all the things that you really love to do? Okay, let's do it, And you start to play the game of, man, I do want to start a new business, or I want to let go of this other business. And I really just want to say the things that matter. And so you start, doing that, and you start feeling that freedom. I just had a text from somebody, recently. And I guess what I'm trying to say when I say that your life starts to fall apart, or I make the joke about that, it's
Mm-hmm.
not that your life starts to fall apart. It's that you start doing things that really matter to you, but it's not that you won't come up against your own fears.
Yeah, I was just going to mention fear, because I know so many people that are they're still living a life that they feel isn't truly them. But the main reason I know for myself that I didn't want to leave it is just fear. It's fear of hurting people, fear of not having money, fear of not being able to put food on the table, fear of, whatever it is. That's what keeps us small. That's what keeps us stuck.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
so the process that I help take people in, and you know what, I want to give your audience just like one thing today,
Okay.
that strategy. I'm running a course soon. I'm going to do a free course. So for anybody who wants to join me on that, I'll get you the details later, and
Great.
maybe you can send out with the podcast or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I want to give people a number of different strategies, but for our purposes today, I want to give you guys a strategy. And I try not to teach strategies and tools and techniques, because the truth is, following your heart is moment by moment, and you can't, but I'll give you one. I've got one there's two actually that I can probably give your audience by the time we finish today. But one is, be open to sitting with discomfort. And what I mean by that is, let's say that something makes you uncomfortable. Take 5 minutes. Maybe somebody gave you anxiety. Maybe somebody did something that caused you to feel uncomfortable, angry, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Take 5 minutes, almost like a meditation, and just be with that discomfort for 5 minutes. It'll change your whole life. If you did it every day for the rest of your life,
Mm-hmm.
you would become very comfortable with discomfort, and it'll change your whole game, because most people spend their lives avoiding and suppressing discomfort and
Yep.
chasing comfort.
Yep.
And it's no way to live, because that suppression, I'll give you, that suppression will come out one way or the other. It'll come out when you're drinking. It'll come out in a moment of extreme pressure, right? It's like, you've had one of those days. Who's had one of those days where you wake up and the phone company is just pissed on you? They won't change your bill. You ordered something on sale and the guy won't let you return it. Your partner is being just completely unreasonable. The
Mm-hmm.
coffee machine stops working. Your dog won't stop barking, and you just lose your fucking mind. It's like, okay, everything
Yeah.
that you're suppressing comes out on one of those days.
Right.
You're like, you know, and your partner then goes, they're like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "No, you know what, George? I'm not fucking okay. Not fucking okay because all the shit's happening right now." And you just melt down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything you're suppressing comes out there. Are you
Well,
good?
and the folks that are listening have, I mean, everybody has it, but when you're running a childcare center, you also have on a daily parents that are calling the cops because of somebody else's 4-year-old hit their 4-year-old head with a Tonka truck in the head. You have staff that's calling out. So you have all these people that you depend on to show up to a job
Yep.
who now didn't show up. And then now so you take everything you just talked about at home in a home scenario, and then you add on the professional stuff that everybody, and so that is happening for our folks on a
You're
daily.
opening a new center and the
Yeah.
city is fucking with your renovations. I mean, I've got insight into the child.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's number one thing that I hear
Yeah.
are parents.
Yeah.
It's parents. It's
Parents. Yeah.
patient. It's
Yeah.
all and there's a
Yeah.
lot of fear and frustration wrapped up in the emotionalism of someone else's emotion.
Right.
It's now being projected onto you. And what do you do with that?
Right.
Okay, so apply the strategy. Sit with
Yes.
your
Sit with it.
discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
For 5 minutes. The parent calls, and instead of just losing your mind, just
Mm-hmm.
take a minute and just sit with how uncomfortable it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Sit with the stress, sit with the anxiety, sit with the worst case scenario. You're going to jail.
Right.
I mean, what do you have to lose? I
Right.
mean, I'll tell you this, I promise you this works because I have people telling me on almost a daily basis. I have old clients from years ago who will text me and say, "Your work has changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I am no longer reactive. I am less reactive than I was a month ago from just doing a couple sessions with me." You know, like
Right.
I hear the feedback from you. I hear the feedback. I mean, it's amazing. And I know that it works because I see it with other people. It's just like people are so afraid to sit with their discomforts. Just
Yes.
sit. Just be
Yeah.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes a day will change your life. You'll relax.
Mm-hmm.
You'll stop fighting the discomfort and you'll
Mm-hmm.
just, you know what? Okay. You know, I was telling I run group sessions and I run, my intensives, right? Chris has done an intensive with me. And that's where we kind of get into the real nitty gritty of like unblocking all the stuff that's been suppressed,
Yep.
which is not fun. Like, and
Right.
that's why I say like my work is not fun. It is because the
Yeah.
results will change your life, right?
Yes.
But for a few months, you'll be a little uncomfortable, right?
Right.
But then you'll be free.
Right.
So, but it's like, I don't know where I was going with that. I've totally lost my thread.
It's okay. And that's what makes it so great because it's all okay. Putting the awareness on the discomfort and on the feelings is life changing. And so, having done it and having continued to do it, and it's a practice. So I've been doing it for a year and I'm just excited for where I'm going to be, and that now I'm projecting into the future. So now I have to bring myself back, but it's right. So it's the awareness. So you guys just got to witness it. My head said, "Why are you going into the future? Bring it back to right now and enjoy this moment."
Yeah.
And that's where we live. We live right here, right now. And so it's holidays and we're thinking about having cranberry and stuffing with, Aunt Mary in 3 weeks from now and what we're going to get, and unwrapping our presents and so no, just come back to this moment.
Well, I think the thing is that emotionalism is difficult because if anybody's like me, right? Like, I mean, if you were to talk to my parents or my family, and you'd be like, "What a lovely family," and they're just wonderful. But like, I did not get out of my childhood without a significant amount of trauma for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, if I can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
because I'm like, so I understand the emotionalism, like, and I'll give you a personal example. Yesterday, I did actually have one of those days. My car was vandalized the other day. I had to, get the thing. James Purse wouldn't let me return something because it was on sale. That's why I use that example.
Right.
And all I wanted was to switch sizes, right?
Uh-huh.
And I got to one of those times where, and I finally I opened my heart though. I opened my heart even to James Purse. I said, you know what, you guys? I said, my husband and I spend, a ridiculous amount on James Purse a year. I said, I'm really disappointed, that I can't return this one item for a different size. I even like listed the things that we own because I was like,
Right.
I cannot go to Los Angeles or Aspen without going into the James Purse store and buying a t-shirt for one of us. And I just said, you know what? I just want you to know I'm really disappointed. So I wasn't like, you guys, I wasn't resisting. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
you should do that. And I opened my heart. I said, I'm really disappointed.
Right.
you know, but that's how I handle my world. If I feel something, sometimes I'll express it, but I
Right.
express it with an open heart.
Yes.
And my husband got home, and I said, I said, I've had a real tough day. I said, I've been really disappointed by the universe. I said, and you really disappointed me last night. I said, you were mean to me over the most petty shit. And I said, and I really don't feel like I deserve that. Made him a nice dinner, and he almost started crying and was like,
Aw.
"You know what? You made me a really nice dinner. You've done all these nice things." He's like, "I can feel your heart and I can feel the tough day you had, and all of that seems last night my OCD took over and it seems really petty the way that
Mhm.
I treated you
Mhm.
over the dishes." And I
Right.
said, "Thank you." And he goes, "What can I do to make this better?" And I said, Don't do that again."
Exactly. Don't do that
I
again.
said, "Don't be petty." I was like, "The dishes are on you. If you have OCD, I said, "Listen, I've got OCD about your clothes
Right.
that you constantly leave on the bathroom floor." I said, "But you know what I do?" I said, if I want a clean bathroom, I know that that's on me to pick them up and not complain about it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
manifesting. So you know what? But anyway, the
Yeah.
point is so there's two things that I'm giving you guys now, right? The one is sit with your discomforts, don't project on another person. And the second one is if you feel something, don't suppress it. Open your heart and share.
Mhm.
If that's what's going on for you, because you'll sit in a thought cycle
Mhm.
that'll take you down.
Yep.
You'll be angry and you'll be, but all you have to do is just open your heart and say, I'm really disappointed.
Mhm.
You'll sit in that disappointment and you'll be okay. And
Yeah.
then it will release itself.
So let's talk about the releasing because
Yeah.
that's almost like the magic of diving into your emotions and sitting with your discomfort or whatever emotion you're having is being present
Yep.
with your emotion and then peeling down the layers. So I talked about this in the last episode was when I was feeling that there were people in my life that have been that did things that were not kind, that basically like I had this whole series of, if you want, backstabbing repeatedly, like people were, in a business setting, uh, not not doing well by me. And so with Kirra, it was like, well, this is a reflection of me, and I had to look at myself and dive into the emotion of, well, how does this behavior of these other humans make you feel? And then it was sit with it and then continue to dive and peel into it. So the first emotion you might feel was it makes me feel angry or it makes me feel whatever. And then you dive into, at the base of it was a feeling of unworthiness. After
Mm,
all of the sitting with it and after all of the peeling of the layers, it finally got down to that base emotion for me. And then that tied into this, my childhood situation with my dad of just being made to feel small or unworthy. And so, that's just one little example. But I think as you on this journey, along with me, have learned how to dive into the emotions,
yeah.
that to me, that's one of the big pieces of the work is,
Huge.
yeah.
Huge because okay, so in context, right? when the parent calls, you know, to, and they're being, let's say they are being completely unreasonable. And let's be honest, most people are irrational when they're coming from emotion.
Yep.
They're unreasonable when they're coming from emotion. They can't even help themselves. You know, it's, they have fear, they're acting from the fear, they're emotional, you know, they're coming from their own traumas. Most people are reacting from their own emotions, their own, so the first baseline level that you want to understand. I used to have a therapist that used to tell me that you got to imagine that people, when they're coming from their emotions, they're in a straitjacket because they're absolutely insane.
Right.
It's, you know, and all you can do is just be with that. So the first thing that you have to understand is that most of the time you are dealing with rational people. So it's going to be difficult for you to remain the rational one and go, okay, this person's coming from emotion. What are we going to do about that? But it's going to make you feel something. Here's the thing that you want to know. That thing that's underneath there, there's a reason why they call them triggers. They're in you. There's something that is unresolved in you.
Yep.
And if you want to be free from the things that are unresolved, if I could give it to you, like the human journey is, you wake up as in a human body, and you're gonna, I don't want to go too deep, so I'm going to keep it as surface as I can. You, you're gonna have things that make you feel uncomfortable, but because your first part of your journey is unconscious,
Right.
it's almost as though you're gonna get hurt. Let's just say you're gonna get hurt. But because you don't know how to deal with hurt in a conscious way, because you're
Yep.
not ready for the conscious part of your journey, even if you've been raised in a conscious way, you'll still put power into money or success or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You actually could have had an untraumatized childhood, but then something will happen when you're an adult. And if you're unconscious, you won't know how to deal with the emotion. You won't know how to deal with the pain. So
Yes.
most people will go and suppress that. And then what'll happen is that somebody will come and play a role to mimic that, not the scenario necessarily, the
The
feeling that's
feeling.
resolved. So most people react to the story and go, oh, that parent and blah, 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 blah. And other people in your reality will go, yeah, that sounds awful. And, you know, and it'll reinforce, but you're not getting to the underlying emotion. So for you, people were coming and they kept backstabbing you. And it's just bringing up that feeling of unworthiness.
Right.
Okay. That's the feeling that you want to sit with. Because if you can be free of the unworthiness, embrace that and resolve that feeling. In other
Yes.
words, you're allowing yourself to experience it. You're not judging it. You're not resisting it. And then you realize at the bottom of that, wait a second, I'm not unworthy. Because if you give it enough space, if you give it enough presence, that's impossible. You can't feel unworthiness.
Right.
In this moment, in your joy, when happiness for no reason, there's no such thing as unworthiness.
Yeah. And so that journey, that process. And so and then you're never done with it. And so there's always continued work for me that we're working right now. You and I are working in group on, as you continue to resolve things that are the big pains in your life, what we're doing is we're healing our pain body, essentially. I talked about pain body in the last episode, and that's a big theme of Eckhart's work. And so some people have a huge pain body because they had a huge amount of trauma. Some people had a great childhood and have a smaller pain body, just to simplify. So, but I still have unresolved pieces of my pain body that are inside of me. I know that. So, and maybe as humans, we never fully resolve our pain body, or when we finally resolve our pain body is when we actually become enlightened. And I don't know if that's like a state of, is that really real? I wanted to ask Eckhart and Maui actually, and he never did the Q&A because I wanted to get to the mic and ask him. But when do you know that you have actually reached enlightenment? Is enlightenment real? Is it a figment of our imagination? Was Buddha enlightened? Was Mother Teresa enlightened? And so I don't know if you have a feeling about that, Kirra. We've never talked about that I can recall. But
I do.
yeah. So
I
the
do.
question is, when you heal your pain body fully and you come to a place of a complete and utter joy and love and bliss for yourself with no pain body, is that enlightenment?
Okay. First thing so I want to talk directly just to you
Yeah.
is don't be like, my feedback is don't be so concerned about whether anybody else has done anything.
Right.
What I would do is I would go into my feeling
Mhm.
and say, what is possible for me? Where am I going?
Right.
And enlightenment, I mean, I would say I've had moments of it. Okay. So it depends on the journey that somebody's on. And not everybody's on the same journey. Not everybody's looking for enlightenment.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why a lot of my work is focused on just healing the pain body, because once you will get to a certain point where, so what you said before actually isn't true. You can heal the pain. Once you fully reclaim power from something, if you don't put power back into it, you're actually free of it.
Okay.
So if you resolve the unworthiness and you have the realization, see, the important part is the realization that comes after a healing of the pain
Mm-hmm.
body. For anybody who's
Mm-hmm.
on the deeper journey, let's just say, it's the realization that I was never this emotion. I was never this unworthiness.
Mm-hmm.
I was never that. You can see
Mm.
the story for what it was.
Right.
And that's when you know that you fully resolved something,
Mm-hmm.
because you're no longer remembering it. It's no longer in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I hope this is okay with everybody, but like, I was raped once. Do you know I never think about that?
Mm.
Ever. It never even occurs to me.
Mm-hmm.
I I only think about it when I think of, like, when I tell the story
Right. Yeah.
of how when somebody reclaims power, they stop thinking about something, because it's the only thing that I can think of that's, like, really traumatic
Right.
that I never think about.
Right.
I mean, I've got other things that I think about
Right.
that maybe I haven't fully resolved, right? But
Yes.
that's not one of them.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
So, when you fully resolve something, it never comes back.
Right. Well, and I guess what I was saying with the statement about it is that you resolve that particular piece of your pain.
Mhm.
But as humans, we'll always continue to have little things that we have power in. Little
Hey, also not
micro,
true.
Yeah, okay.
I'm having group focus on this because I know that the ego is tricky. I know that
Mm-hmm.
it's called the thinking mind for your audience. The thinking mind is tricky, and it goes, I'm good. And you know what's funny about that is that that's you putting power in that moment into being good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're good. But see, any judgment, okay, now you're going to experience bad. You've just put power back into the journey.
Right.
And what I mean
But
by
as humans, don't we? Isn't it inevitable that as the human experience is that we do that? Like that we're always going to have some things on our journey that we still need to take to reclaim power from, even if they're tiny. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
My feeling is no. It depends on, see, when the more that you see through the story,
Right.
the less you react to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like most of the universe is designed to cause you a reaction, let's say. But if you don't want to react anymore and you decide, you know what, I'm done with reaction, you'll actually stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And as long you'll move through things quicker too. Because once you get over the resistance piece, And that's why in group, I'm taking you guys through this thing. It's like, okay, if there's anything left, let's clear it the fuck out. Let's just be honest. But the point is not that. And the next piece of the puzzle in group is going to be, okay, just stay in the big. Stop falling
Mm,
for your story, because
right.
that's the minute you fall for the story is the minute you can create the emotion.
Mhm.
But that's optional.
Hmm. So for those of you that are, you know, so one thing I wanted to talk about on this podcast episode is the story. And so where we kind of start on this journey, where I started, is seeing the story, having awareness of the story. Because when I'm coaching people, 95% of what I'm hearing when I'm trying to help them resolve a specific issue is it's all story, right? And so giving the listeners, the audience, an awareness of
What is this?
yeah, the story. And so what we're in this work is, you know, having recognition that this is just the story, and then I'm actually bigger and above. There's another whole part of me, of my consciousness, my awareness, the truth, that is way, it's beyond the story. So just talk a little bit about that, because I
Yeah.
feel like that is one of the places where we start in this work.
Okay. So when we spoke, or the tangible version of this is what we were talking about earlier. It's not your circumstances that are pissing you off. It's your triggers that are unresolved that then are being affected when a certain story plays out. A
Mhm.
circumstance happens. The parent calls and there's the trigger, right? If you have awareness, if you have that bigger perspective, you'll realize immediately this doesn't matter. This parent is emotional. It's understandable. They're in fear. They're triggered, right? Now, you can go into that awareness without being triggered at all. Does it
Right.
matter? Have you ever been sent to jail at one of your centers? But you react as though you might go to jail every time, right? Which is also irrational. So that's no offense, right?
Yeah.
And I understand it's not about that.
Mhm.
It's about your relationship to your own triggers and your own fears.
Mhm.
So you can understand the parent because you have your own process around it. But if you go into pure awareness and you just go, I know I'm not going to jail, and this is, an irrational person who's dealing with their emotions in an irrational way, you'll actually have zero reaction yourself, right?
Mhm.
So, but what I'm explaining is there's like 17 different routes given any given circumstance, because there's another person's reaction. There's their pain body, there's their perceptions. Then you've got yourself, your perception of them, your perception of how they're responding, reacting, and your own reactions based on what's happening.
Mhm.
There's like 95 personalities wrapped up in any given circumstance.
Right.
And it's all perception, because they actually might be trying to do something, but you see your mother in them.
Right.
You're not even seeing the person in front of you. You're like, you don't know why you're so fired up about this particular parent. And then you'll realize later, you're like, "Oh," your mom will call and you'll be like, oh my God, that reminds me of my mom. No wonder I'm reacting,
Right.
for example. Anyway, so what I'm trying to explain is that there's all these different layers that can happen in any given, but that's the story. The
Right.
story is your circumstance.
Mhm.
If you can have awareness that you are not this story, and that your emotions are not who you are, your story is not who you are. And by the way, your identity is not who you are, because that's the next layer. It's like, I am right. And I can't believe, and you don't want somebody to perceive you as being something. So then it's like, I care about what other people think. That's having power in the story, right?
Yeah.
So now you're small again and you care what people think, and it matters, and it becomes this big deal.
Yeah.
But really, if you come back to your heart, you open your heart and you go, does this really matter?
Right.
Does it
So,
big scheme of your whole life? Does this really matter? Ask your own heart. And if you can calm the emotions, I mean, if you want a second technique, there it is.
yeah.
And just go, does it really matter? You're on your deathbed. Is this really going to be the thing that you think about when you're about to send into the beyond? No, and I know that I'm being dramatic, but like seriously,
Right.
is
It's
it?
well, and so Eckhart describes it just like you are, but he calls it your life situation.
Mhm.
And then the life, the essence, the breathing spirit, heart that you are is this is you. Or maybe we
Being.
sometimes we refer to it being the big you. And so the like your life situation is just the story, you know? And so I think that's why I recommend it to the audience to listen to Power of Now or read it, but I love listening to it on audiobook because it helps you really disconnect, helps me disconnect from
Yeah.
my story, my life situation to the triggers, the day to day versus the real heart and body of Chris and my soul, the existence that I'm having as a being.
Yeah.
So that's maybe that's helpful as well. But
Yep.
um,
So that's the story. And
yeah,
just bringing your awareness to I am not the story.
right.
Okay, then who are you?
Hmm.
Okay, what really matters?
Yeah,
Doesn't just, I mean, and what's the answer? What really matters? Think about it. And I encourage whoever's listening, like ask yourself right now, what really matters? You're on your deathbed. What matters? Who matters? Does does the parent who, you know, do they matter? Well, if you opened your heart up to them, maybe they do matter, right? Because you're now sharing love.
hmm,
But you know what really matters? It's the people you love,
hmm,
the things you love, the love you have.
yeah,
And that only comes from opening. This conversation has been primarily about like, well, what's the work about? Well, the first part of the work, there's a part of you that shuts down and closes off. That part of you isn't going to help you thrive, isn't going to help you live your best life. It's going to keep you held back. It's going to keep you fenced in. It's not going to allow your fullest expression of love to exist
hmm,
because you want to protect and you want to protect your heart because you've been hurt. I understand. But the only way out of that is to start to open up that field of where there's unresolved shit. But yeah, you do get to a point where if you were to fully open your heart and keep it open, you wouldn't have any of that anymore.
right. Hmm. Love
So you want to be enlightened? Start now.
it.
Keep your heart fully open.
Yeah.
See the story for what it is. You're there.
Hmm. Well, I think that's enough for today. What do you think? I think we've given the audience a
I
lot to think about
I
and
don't
feel.
know if anybody will resonate with this. I feel like I don't know. I never know whether we get deep or whether it's not deep. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
relatable. I hope that it is,
Yeah,
I mean, and that's why I just try to keep it simple. Like 5 minutes a day, sit with your discomfort. It'll
right,
completely change your life because you won't
right.
resist anything anymore.
Yes,
If you're not in resistance, you're not in suffering.
right.
If I
And
could,
the resistance versus the acceptance piece, the other thing that really helped take me on the journey was this notion or this the feeling of getting to neutral.
yeah,
And so that goes along with it, which is you can tell when you're not in a place of neutrality about anything in your life. And so I want to sit with that emotion and that discomfort until I get to a place of neutral.
Well, here's the last piece, right? Is that when you have a charge, your heart will naturally, to protect itself, it closes.
Mhm.
Okay. But that takes you away from your power to do the things that you love. Because your natural state of being is openness. And it is happiness for no reason. See, this isn't a fix, improve, or change process. Most people uh, at this level of humanity or evolution or whatever you want to call it, the it's personal development is all about fixing, improving, or changing. You got
Mhm.
to be better. You got to
Yeah.
motivate. This is not that. This is
Mhm.
actually just uncovering. If you could neutralize the things that are holding you back from just keeping an open heart, and that, because see, the flip side of my work is not about pain. It's about do balls to the wall, whatever it is that you love. Sorry to be crass. Balls to the wall. What
It's
is that?
okay.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, now you're free. You're free
Yeah.
from things that are holding you back. So now you can do everything that you love. And all those decisions that you really want to make that you think in your circumstances are impossible. Oh, let me show you the ways. Okay,
Mhm.
you want to live a bigger lifestyle? Decide. That's the fun part of my work.
Right. Right.
Is oh, you think you're limited? No way.
Right.
But first you got to
Yeah.
dig up the shit, right? Because
Right.
that's the stuff that goes, well, I'm unworthy. Well, how
Right.
are you going to be able to make a decision in your reality that is way bigger than your circumstances in
Right.
this moment? Your bank account's $5,000 and you want to make a $5 million decision. Well, how is that going to be possible? You tell me. If
Mhm.
you feel unworthy deep down
Right.
in okay, why don't we embrace the unworthiness? We're going
Right.
to accept that you once felt that way. Okay, now you don't feel unworthy.
Right.
Now you can make a $5 million decision,
Right.
for example.
Right.
How? The mind asks. Don't ask how. Forget about that.
Mhm.
That's the fun part of the work,
Yeah.
right?
We'll have to come back for another episode in a few
On
months
the fun part of the journey.
on the fun part.
It's true. It's true. Cool.
Yeah. No,
Anywho,
it's really good. Thank you. This has been awesome. And so Amir has an app. So Amir Zogi is one of your mentors. I don't know if you know, do you know the name of it, the app, or we can just
it's
put
a
it in the
mere
show
Zoe.
notes. Amir Zogi.
And
Okay.
it's $37 a month. I recommend going to I when I do this work of integrating the how to live this way for people, which is being free to make unlimited decisions, but also embracing anything that's unresolved. Those are the two tenets of how I help people integrate that. I require them to do Amir's work and I require them to do Eckhart Tolle, basically.
Mhm.
So if you want free resources, or I guess they're not free. I mean, you got to buy the book and it's $37 for Amir's app or whatever. I
Right.
recommend doing the WTF experience. That is the foundation for integrating this work. You will hear a lot of similarities in that. But if he
Yeah.
doesn't resonate with you, whatever, it's okay. Just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Those are the two resources that I give to people when I take them on the journey of integrating this for themselves.
Right. And then if people want to learn more about working with you, where should they go?
Such an interesting question right now because I'm in between websites. I'm like,
Okay.
I have no idea. First, I am on Instagram.
Okay.
From Instagram, you will be able to find where I have put different website programs.
Okay.
So I would say it's the_decided, right? Because part of my work is about decision making,
Right.
the unlimited version of you making decisions. So I would go to the_decided.
Decided. Mm-hmm.
And from there, I have this Elevate Your Life program that starts on January 4th. If you
Okay.
miss that one, I'm probably going to do another one in the year. So, go find my website,
Cool.
subscribe, whatever it is. And I send out, stuff all the time.
Yes. Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I have loved working with you, and can't wait for 2023 and continuing to work together. We're going to Mexico on a retreat together.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. And I actually signed up for Eckhart Tolle is doing a 6-month becoming a teacher of his work. So a certified Tolle teacher. So I'm doing that too. So I'm all in. I'm all in. So this is really fun, and I have loved having you here, Kirra Sherman. You are a goddess of consciousness. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm gonna sit with my discomfort over
Yeah. Yes. Sit with your discomfort.
No, it's all good.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you. I love the people that you refer me to, or that refer
Yeah.
that I also have worked with as a result of,
Yeah.
your people are amazing. So
Yeah. Yes. You guys are amazing. So thank you, all of you, for being with us on this episode and with me in this journey. And I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kirra. Take care, and God bless everybody.
likewise.
Bye. I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please share it with someone you know and help spread the word to your friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, learn more about how to grow your business and make more income with our brand new free quiz, the What's My Number One Income Killer quiz, exclusively for preschool and childcare owners. Take the quiz today at childcarequiz.com to discover what your number one income killer is and how to solve it. Take care, and God bless.